Power is a funny thing. It's like a drug, something people crave so desperately that they'll do anything to get it. The weak hide behind false bravado, spinning intricate webs, desperate to feel control. They plotted, schemed, worked in the shadows, thinking they could pull your strings like a marionette, that your fate was in their hands. They looked at you as if you were nothing more than a pawn in their game, someone whose life they could manipulate for their own gain. They believed that with a few well-placed moves, with their cunning and their deceit, they could keep you in check, bending to their will. But what they didn't realize was that their sense of control was nothing more than an illusion. And now, they stand before you helpless, powerless, broken. They believed they were the architects of your misery, the puppeteers who pulled every string in your life. They thought their manipulation, their lies, their deceit could break you, make you crumble. They underestimated the strength that lies dormant in the soul of a person who has been pushed to the brink. They never saw what you were capable of when pushed beyond your limits. The darkness they tried to impose upon you became the fuel that ignited a fire inside you, a fire they could never extinguish, no matter how hard they tried. They wanted power over you, and they thought they had it. But they were wrong. The truth is, power over someone else is a fleeting thing. It's a fragile illusion built on lies, fear, and manipulation. They thought they could dominate you, control your every move, twist your emotions to serve their needs. But in their pursuit of power, they never considered one simple truth. They were dealing with someone who would never bend, never break, and never give in to the whims of those who believed they were entitled to control. When they first set their sights on you, they didn't realize that you were different from everyone else they had tried to dominate before. They thought you were weak, that you would crumble under their pressure, that you would obey their every command without question. But what they didn't know was that your strength wasn't in your obedience. Your strength was in your defiance. Your power was in your ability to resist, to fight back against the forces that tried to break you down. Every time they pushed you, every time they tried to take something from you, you only grew stronger. You became more determined, more focused, more aware of the lies they tried to feed you. And now, look at them. The ones who thought they could control your every move are now standing before you, broken, powerless, defeated. Their webs of lies have unraveled, their schemes have crumbled, and the facade they built around themselves has shattered. The power they once had over you has slipped through their fingers like sand. They are helpless now, nothing more than hollow shells of the people they once were. Their plans have backfired, their control has slipped away, and now they are left with nothing but the bitter taste of their own failure. You've become a force they can no longer control. They no longer have a hold over you, no longer have the ability to manipulate your actions, your thoughts, your emotions. The power they once had over you has evaporated, leaving them exposed, vulnerable, and helpless. They've learned a hard lesson. That power over others is temporary, and that true power lies within. They thought they could use fear to control you, but they didn't realize that fear only makes you stronger. Fear is not something that can break you, but something that forces you to rise above. Every time they threatened you, every time they tried to intimidate you, they only pushed you closer to your breaking point. And when you reached that point, when you finally had enough, you discovered something inside of you that they could never comprehend. A strength that cannot be shattered, a resilience that cannot be defeated. They wanted to break you, to make you feel small, insignificant, and powerless. They tried to tear you down with their words, their actions, their deceit. But what they didn't realize was that the more they tried to break you, the more they were breaking themselves. The more they tried to control you, the more they revealed their own weakness. The more they tried to impose their power over you, the more they exposed their own inability to control anything, including themselves. Now, they stand before you, and the roles have reversed. The ones who once held the power are now powerless. The ones who thought they could dictate your every move are now at your mercy. The ones who thought they could break you are now the ones who are broken. They wanted power over you, but now they are helpless in the face of your strength. This is the reality of the world we live in. Power is fleeting, control is illusory, and those who seek to dominate others are often the ones who are ultimately destroyed by their own desires. They believe they could crush you, control you, make you a puppet to dance on their strings. But in doing so, they expose their own fragility, their own inability to withstand the forces they tried to unleash. They underestimated you, and now they will pay the price. You are the one who stands tall, unbroken, unbowed. You are the one who controls your own destiny, who shapes your own future. They thought they could break you, but in the end, they were the ones who broke themselves. They thought they could hold power over you, but now they are the ones who are powerless, left to watch as you rise above them, stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever before. The power they sought to wield over you has become their undoing. They wanted control, but in the end, they lost it all. They are the ones who are helpless now, not you. You have become the embodiment of resilience, of strength, of defiance. They are nothing more than a distant memory, a shadow of the people they once were. The game is over, and they have lost. You have won. Their power was always an illusion, a fleeting moment of control in a world that does not bend to the will of the weak. And now, as they stand before you, stripped of their power, they are left with nothing but the realization that they were never in control at all. It was you all along. You were always the one with the true power, the one who could rise above their schemes, the one who could break free from their manipulation. They wanted power over you. They thought they had it, but now they're helpless. They're nothing. They've lost everything, and you've gained everything. You've become a force to be reckoned with, and they are nothing but shadows in your wake. Let them fade into the darkness from which they came. They sought power over you, and now they'll live with the knowledge that they are powerless in the face of your strength. They crumble. All their plans, all their machinations, reduce to nothing. The threads they tried to weave to control your life lie scattered at their feet, unraveling in the wind, proving the fragility of their so-called power. They thought they knew you, thought they could predict your every move, but they never understood the depth of your spirit. They were blind to the fire burning within you, a fire they couldn't extinguish, no matter how hard they tried. They played their games, thinking they were the ones pulling the strings. But the truth is, they were puppets of their own delusion, strung along by their own insecurities, their own hunger for dominance. And now, as they face the consequences of their actions, they are forced to witness the magnitude of their own failure. They wanted power over you, wanted to break you down, mold you to their will. But what they didn't know was that power, true power, isn't something you can take from someone else. It isn't something you can impose through fear, manipulation, or force. True power comes from within, from a place that no one can touch, a place that is untouchable by the forces they tried to wield against you. Their strength was built on lies, on a false sense of control, and now that it has crumbled, they are left with nothing but the stark reality of their own weakness. They tried to mold you into something you were never meant to be, tried to break your spirit, to bend you to their will. But in doing so, they only exposed their own insecurities, their own lack of control, their own inability to manage their own fate. They were never in control. They never had the power. They were simply playing a game, unaware of the fact that you were always the one holding the cards. The tables have turned. You stand tall now, no longer the victim of their schemes, no longer the person they thought they could break. They thought they had power over you, thought they could shape your destiny. But in the end, it was always you who held the power. It was always you who controlled your own fate, who chose your own path, who refused to let them dictate your life. They underestimated you, failed to realize that your strength wasn't something they could crush with their words or their actions. Your strength came from a deeper place, a place they could never touch. The darkness they tried to impose upon you only fueled your fire. Each time they tried to tear you down, you rose stronger, more resolute in your belief that you were more than the sum of their attempts to control you. They thought they could weaken you, break you, but all they did was build you up. Every lie they told, every manipulation they attempted, only served to reveal their true nature and the emptiness of their control. They thought they were powerful because they could make others bend to their will, but in reality, they were weak, unable to sustain the facade of strength they so desperately clung to. They are the ones who are broken now, not you. They are the ones who are vulnerable, exposed, and powerless, and they will never understand how it happened. They will never be able to comprehend that the very thing they feared, the thing they sought to control, was the source of your power. You were never a pawn in their game. You were always the master of your own destiny, and now they have to live with the consequences of their actions, knowing that they have nothing left. They thought they could take everything from you, but all they succeeded in doing was making you stronger. They wanted to break you, to leave you with nothing, but in the end, they left themselves empty-handed. They wanted power over you, but they didn't understand the true nature of power. Power is not something you can take from others. It's something that comes from within. It's the strength to rise above adversity, to stand tall in the face of opposition, to defy the forces that seek to bring you down. They couldn't break you because your power was never theirs to take. Now, as they look at you, they see something they can never attain. The strength to rise from the ashes of their attempts to destroy you, the resilience to stand firm in the face of their hatred and manipulation. They thought they could bend you to their will, but what they didn't realize was that they were only shaping the person you were always meant to become. Every attempt to break you only forged you into a stronger version of yourself, a version they could never control. They wanted to break you, but instead, they've made you unbreakable. They wanted to take your power, but all they've done is made you realize that your power was always yours to wield. The strength they sought to control has become the very thing that has destroyed them, and now they stand before you, helpless, powerless, and broken. And the most beautiful part of all of this is that you didn't have to do anything to bring them to this point. You didn't have to stoop to their level, didn't have to play their game. They destroyed themselves with their own actions, their own greed, their own hunger for control. They wanted power over you, but in their pursuit of it, they lost everything. They thought they could break you, but all they did was break themselves. They thought they could strip you of your dignity, your strength, your will to fight. But in the end, they stripped themselves of their humanity, their integrity, and their power. And now, they are left to face the bitter truth. They were never in control. They were never the ones pulling the strings. You were always the one who held the power. You were always the one who controlled your own destiny. They wanted to own you, to make you their puppet. But in the end, they were the ones who became the puppets of their own desires, trapped in the webs of their own making. The fear they tried to instill in you has turned into their greatest nightmare. They thought they could manipulate you with threats and intimidation, but all they did was fuel the fire of your resistance. They wanted to crush your spirit, to make you bow to their will, but in doing so, they only made you stronger. They wanted to see you fall, but instead, they watched you rise. They wanted to see you broken, but they only witnessed the growth of something unbreakable, something that they could never control. Now, as they face the consequences of their actions, they are forced to watch you rise above them, stronger, more determined, and more powerful than ever before. They wanted power over you, but they will never understand that true power doesn't come from control. It doesn't come from domination or manipulation. True power comes from within, from the strength to rise above, from the ability to stand tall in the face of adversity, and from the courage to never let anyone take away your sense of self. And as they stand before you, broken and helpless, they will realize that they never had any power at all. They thought they could control you, but the truth is, they were never in control. They were always at the mercy of their own weaknesses, their own insecurities, their own fear of losing control. They sought power over you, but in the end, they gave up their own power in the process. You are the one who stands tall now, the one who holds the true power. You are the one who controls your own fate, your own destiny. They are the ones who are helpless, left to witness the strength they tried to break, the spirit they tried to crush, the will they tried to bend. And as they watch you rise above them, they will finally understand that they were never in control. You always were. The truth of that statement is far more powerful than any illusion of control they could ever manufacture. It is the unwavering reality that echoes through every part of you. They thought they could bend you, manipulate you, turn your resolve into dust, but now they face the undeniable fact. Their control over you was always an illusion. Their feeble attempts at domination were nothing but a reflection of their own weakness. They tried to impose their will, to crush your spirit under the weight of their expectations, but they never understood that your strength was born of something they could never touch. You were always stronger than they imagined, not because of what they did or didn't do, but because of what you are. You were forged in fire, tempered by experience, and strengthened by a heart that refuses to be bent by the whims of those who seek to dominate. For every word they spoke to tear you down, for every plot they spun to bind you to their desires, you stood firm. You grew, and with every attempt to break you, you became more resilient, more steadfast in your resolve. What they couldn't comprehend is that strength is not the absence of adversity. It is the ability to rise despite it. It is the understanding that true power does not come from forcing others into submission. True power is born from self-mastery, from knowing who you are, from knowing that no external force can define your worth. They were blind to the fact that they weren't battling you at all. They were battling their own weaknesses, their own fears. They projected their insecurities onto you, thinking you would be just another casualty of their hunger for power. They wanted to control your every move, to shape you into someone they could dominate, to hold the reins of your existence like a puppet. They thought you were weak, but it was their perception of you that was weak, not you yourself. You see, they could never understand that power is not just the ability to inflict harm, but the ability to stand strong in the face of that harm. Power isn't about what you can take from others. It's about what you can withstand and still emerge unbroken. The more they tried to push you down, the higher you soared. The more they plotted, the more they unwittingly prepared you for the strength that would rise in you. They underestimated your resilience. They underestimated your tenacity. They underestimated the depth of your willpower. But most of all, they underestimated the darkness inside you, the one they thought they could control, the one they thought they could crush under the weight of their manipulations and deceit, was actually the very thing that would rise up and obliterate their fragile grasp on reality. The power they thought they wielded over you was nothing but smoke and mirrors. Their actions, their words, their threats, Everything they did to make you feel small were nothing but illusions they created in an attempt to mask their own inadequacies. What they never realized was that the only thing they truly controlled was their own demise. Every scheme they concocted, every word they spoke to bring you down, only brought them closer to the end of their reign. The power they thought they had, the fear they thought they instilled in you, was nothing more than a fleeting moment of arrogance. It was a fragile illusion that cracked the moment you looked them in the eye and refused to bow. They thought they had the upper hand, but they never saw the quiet strength building within you. They never saw the inevitable storm coming. And now, here they are, standing at the precipice of their own destruction, watching as the power they sought to hold over you slips from their hands like water. They thought they could control you. They thought they could manipulate your every move. But you were never the puppet they imagined. You were always the one who had the strings. What they never understood is that power isn't about dominating others. It isn't about making people fear you. Real power comes from the ability to walk through hell and emerge unscathed. It comes from standing tall in the face of your oppressors, from knowing that your worth isn't determined by their approval, their opinions, or their attempts to control you. It comes from realizing that the only true power is the power that comes from within, a power that cannot be stolen, cannot be broken, and cannot be destroyed. Now, as they watch you rise above them, they realize too late that the power they sought to control was never theirs to take. They thought they could defeat you with their manipulation, with their lies, with their petty schemes. But in reality, they were always playing a game they would lose. They were always battling forces far beyond their comprehension. They never stood a chance. The power they wanted so badly to have over you was always something they couldn't grasp. It was always the thing they were too blind to see. The power they were after wasn't something they could control. It wasn't something that could be dictated by their schemes. It was something that came from within you, something they could never touch, no matter how hard they tried. They sought power over you, but they were powerless against the strength that resides in your soul. And now, they are forced to look at you, the person they tried to break, the person they tried to control, and they have to face the truth that they never stood a chance. They have to accept that you were always the one who held the true power. They wanted to break you, to see you fall, but instead, they have become the ones who are broken. They have become the ones who are powerless. They wanted power over you, but in the end, it is you who holds the power. You have become a force they cannot reckon with. You have become someone they can never control. And as they stand there, stripped of the power they once thought they had, they are forced to reckon with the truth. They were never in control at all. It was always you. And as they look at you now, broken, powerless, helpless, they realize that their pursuit of power has led to their downfall. They sought to control you, to break you, to bend you to their will. But in the end, it was they who were broken, they who were bent, and they who were forced to witness your rise. They sought to dominate you, but they failed to realize that you were never the one who needed to be controlled. You were always the one who held the reins, the one who had the power. Their weakness was their inability to see the truth. Their weakness was their inability to understand that true power cannot be taken from others. It cannot be stolen or manipulated. It is born of self-awareness, of self-reliance, of resilience. They wanted to destroy your spirit, but instead, they helped it grow. They wanted to break you, but all they did was help you build an unshakable foundation. They wanted power over you, but in the end, they gave you all the power you needed to rise above them. And now, they are left with nothing but the reality that they were never in control. They were never the ones who held the true power. You were always the master of your own fate, the one who shaped your own destiny. And now, they are left to watch as you step into your power and leave them behind, helpless, broken, and defeated. They wanted to control you. They wanted to break you. But in the end, they were the ones who were broken, and you were the one who emerged victorious. Power isn't about what you can take from others. It's about what you can endure and still rise from. And now, they are forced to face the truth that their power was never theirs to hold. The power was always yours, always has been, and now they will live in the shadow of that truth, helpless to change what's already been done. Their downfall wasn't your doing. They dug their own grave with their lies, their deceit, their hunger for control. They thought they could break you, but in the end, they were the ones who were broken. And as they watch you rise from the ashes of their manipulation, they will know, deep down, that they were never the ones in control. You always were. In the end, their pursuit of control only led to their own downfall. They sought to break you, to dominate your spirit, but all they achieved was revealing their own weakness. You were never their pawn. You were always the one with the power. Their illusions of control crumbled, and now they stand powerless, while you stand stronger than ever, a testament to the true nature of strength, resilience, self-mastery, and the unwavering will to rise above. They wanted power over you, but they've only given you the strength to leave them behind. You always were the one in control.